Is it possible to build muscle and stay lean while bulking? Well, according to most people on the internet, the answer to this would be very straightforward. No. I mean, in order to build as much muscle as possible, you also need to be eating as much food as possible. I mean, you gotta eat big to get big, right?
Thunfisch Proteinshake.
Well, it turns out that this isn't actually a one-size-fits-all for all lifters. For example, a 2019 review showed that new lifters can eat up to 2,000 extra calories a day above their maintenance and turn most of that into muscle. However, more experienced lifters don't gain that much more muscle than those not eating in a 600 calorie surplus, but do gain a significant amount more fat. Meaning that if we all ate big to get big and put on muscle, the only big thing we would end up with is a belly. But don't worry, this doesn't mean that just beginner lifters can bulk and build muscle without putting on a ton of excess fat. It just means more advanced lifters need to be more precise when they're bulking in order to maximize muscle gain and minimize fat gain. So how should we actually eat in order to put on muscle while minimizing fat gain? First, let's start with our beginners. So as we realized before, beginners can get away with eating a lot more than more advanced lifters and still put on more muscle than they would fat. But this does not give you the excuse to raid your fridge or Uber Eats crumble at 2 a.m. just in the sake of the gains. For all of you who have never bulked before, jumping right into a 1,000 calorie surplus is just inevitably going to lead to you dirty bulking. Instead, I would firstly recommend figuring out your maintenance calories, so the calories it takes to maintain your current weight on a daily basis, which can be done super easily online. You just Google online maintenance calorie calculator and it'll give you this nifty little sum, and you put in all your details and it will calculate a rough maintenance for you. Or you can take your current body weight in pounds and then multiply that by 15, and it will give you a rough estimate of your current maintenance calories. And then once you have this maintenance calorie number, you can either give yourself 2 weeks of eating at this number and seeing if it's really your maintenance calories, or if you want to jump right into your bulk, you could start by adding 10 to 15% more calories onto this number. The newer you are to lifting, I'm talking straight out, I was about to say straight out the womb, I'm talking you probably haven't really lifted a dumbbell that much in your life or ever before in your life, you can get away with eating at much higher surplus amounts in comparison to someone who has been lifting for around a year or so, but still classed as a new lifter. To begin with, I would recommend adding no more than 500 calories onto your maintenance calories, with 200 to 300 calories probably being the sweet spot for most people. Now, in order to maximize muscle gain here, you really need to be monitoring your body composition. And for this, I would recommend using both a weight scale and progress photos. A weight scale is great as it helps you monitor your weekly average weight gain, but a weight scale really doesn't reflect pure muscle gain or pure fat gain. It reflects both. So it is not the most accurate form of measurement when you are trying to gain more muscle than fat in a bulk. That is why I recommend coupling this with progress photos, because when you look at yourself in the mirror or when you look at yourself through a progress photo, you're going to see if you're gaining more fat than you are muscle, and it is just a really great way to monitor your body composition. And if you are using these means of measurement and you realize you're starting to look a little bit more fluffy, you can then decrease your calories by around 5 to 10% depending on how fluffy you're getting, or if you feel like you're not gaining anything at all, you can always increase your calories by around 5 to 10%. And as you progress through your bulk, your maintenance calories are naturally going to grow because you're heavier now and it takes more calories to maintain your new weight, so your bulking calories are going to need to increase over time too. But this should only really increase when you see around a 2-week plateau in your weight gain or in your progress photos or your gym progress, and you should only increase by small increments at a time. I would say around 200 to 300 calories to make sure we're not just eating for the sake of eating and really prioritizing muscle gain over fat gain here. While bulking, especially as a beginner, one thing that does not get talked about enough is the mental side of things. Gaining weight on purpose for the first time can honestly be such a mind game, especially when we live in a society that conditions you that losing weight is the best thing for you, not gaining weight. And that is why staying mentally grounded is so crucial. One thing that I've found recently that really helps me is this app called Aura, who are also sponsoring today's video. I personally have been using Aura for a while now, and it has been such a game changer for my overall mental health. Aura's guided meditations have really helped me stay positive and on track. They tailor all their content specifically for you, so whether it's just quick breathing exercises to de-stress, sleep stories to help you go to sleep and help with recovery, or even one-to-one life coaching. So if you've been wanting to make meditation or mindfulness a daily habit for a while now, you haven't really found anything that sticks, why don't you join me on the 30-day meditation challenge that Aura has on their app? Nothing overly complicated, but it is a massive step in the right direction towards improving your your mental game. And if you do want to give it a try, you can get started for completely free using the top link in my description, and the first 500 people to sign up using that link will also get an extra 25% off. It's made a huge difference for me, and I'm sure it will help some of you guys too, and plus we can do the 30-day challenge together. And now next up, we have our lifters who want to gain muscle but who have been lifting for a little while. Now, unfortunately for us, we cannot go ham with the calories like we used to when we first started lifting. Instead, for us, it seems around a 10 to 15% surplus over our maintenance calories is going to be what maximizes muscle gain while minimizing fat gain. For more advanced lifters, so those people lifting for over around 5 years,
Whoa! Nice deltoid.
this is probably going to be around the 5 to 10% when you're bulking. But again, you should really monitor your body composition through the weight scale or progress photos or even measurements. Okay, so after we determine our calorie surplus, we need to divide our calories between our main macronutrient sources. So that will be our protein, our fats, and our carbs. But before we dive into our carbs and our fats, let's first cover protein. When bulking, one of the most commonly overlooked factors is your protein intake. While it's true that calories are the foundation of weight gain, the sources of these calories will significantly impact the way you look while you're bulking. Setting up your optimal protein intake is absolutely essential when we're trying to achieve a certain body composition while bulking, but it can be super tricky. On the one hand, protein has a thermogenic effect, meaning that 20 to 30% of the calories you're eating from protein are used to digest that protein you're eating. This makes a higher protein intake beneficial while you're bulking because it may actually lead to less fat gain, given that you're having to use more energy in order to digest that protein. However, beyond a certain point, eating more protein doesn't necessarily lead to more muscle gain, though there might still be some reduction in the fat that you're storing in your body. But on the other hand, high protein diets are actually super satiating, meaning that it's going to be much harder to get your calories in if it's predominantly coming from protein in comparison to eating easily digestible things like carbohydrates. Also, when eating in a calorie surplus, it seems that your calorie intake seems to be more important than just eating more protein when it comes to building muscle. If you find it hard to hit a high protein goal daily, it's probably just a better idea to focus on hitting your calorie intake and then also hitting the minimum amount of protein you need to be building muscle, which would be around 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Now, the amount of carbs and fat that you eat are largely going to be up to preference. Those of you who bulk and still feel like you're dieting and enjoy eating high volumes of food may benefit more from a higher carbohydrate intake, given that it is less calories per gram of carbohydrate, meaning that you can eat more food while still being in the same calorie surplus. But this doesn't mean that you cut out fats entirely, because fats are a very, very essential nutrient, especially for women. However, their role in muscle growth is less clear, so while they may provide fuel for your workouts, they're not the main source of fuel that your body uses to fuel your workouts. And for this reason, for the average bulker, I would recommend eating around 20 to 35% minimum of fats each day. And when you're eating your fats, this does not mean that you get to pick out on any sort of fat source you want. I would really recommend focusing on eating your essential fatty acids, such as your omega-3s or your omega-6s that you can get from oily fish, in order to get the most nutrient benefit from the fats that you're eating in your diet. After setting aside your calories for protein and your fats, the rest of your calories should really just be allotted to carbs. But if you are completely lost here and you're like, Sarah, please just give me a recommendation. Personally, I would say anywhere between 1.4 and 2.8 grams of carbs per pound of body weight is perfect for the average lifter. Which now brings us to our most important aspect of building muscle without gaining excess fat, and that is our training. One of the biggest reasons why bulking goes so wrong for so many people and they just end up entering bear mode is because they're focused far too much on the nutrient side of things and not on the training side of things. In order to gain muscle in the gym, you really need to be focusing on 3 main things. You really need to be doing a workout split that you can stick to consistently for around 8 to 12 weeks without switching out your exercises. Constantly switching up your exercises makes it virtually impossible to track your progress on your lifts, which in turn makes it super difficult to apply progressive overload, which is a key in muscle building in the gym. After running a few cutting and bulking cycles myself, I've come to the realization that I look my fattest after a bulk when I'm not focusing on progressively overloading in the gym. And this is because if you're not actively pushing yourself every single session and using the extra calories that you're eating, they're really going to waste. I mean, you're just eating extra energy and not using that for the muscle building process. Every time you enter that gym, I want you to be tracking your sets, your reps, and the weight you are doing. And every time you enter the gym, you want to be able to beat at least one of these things from last week. This way, you're going to be growing as much muscle as possible while eating those extra calories. Now, bulking is is hard. Training hard is hard. So please don't forget to give yourself some time to rest and recover, because that is really when our muscles are growing. I would advise around 1 to 2 rest days every single week, and you don't have to completely skip the gym on these days as long as you're not training hard and you're making it more of an active recovery day, say doing like cardio, like walking, or even some ab work. And now, following on to this point, we have the age-old question: should you be doing cardio while bulking? The short answer to this would be no, but the long answer to this would be yes, absolutely. In short, if you find it really hard to pack away calories, then doing cardio may only make this situation so much harder for you. But no matter what you're doing, whether that be cutting, bulking, maintaining, or just straight up vibing, in my personal opinion, I think you should be implementing some form of cardio into your routine no matter what. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm going to force you to download Strava and buy a running vest, but it does mean that a 10 to 15 minute walk should really be part of your daily, if not weekly, routine. So please, for the love of God, stop neglecting your cardio. Okay, so now that we have the basics of our bulk set up, we need to know how long we have to do it for, and when and how to pull back from it. Now, the length of your bulk will actually be determined by a few different factors, such as your starting body composition, your training age, how fluffy you're willing to get, and how sick you are of eating past a certain point. As a general guideline, after 8 to 16 weeks of bulking, you're probably going to be entering the territory where it's pretty safe to enter a cleanup or a mini cut phase. Now, during this phase, you really have two main options. Firstly, we have our maintenance phase. In this option, all you're going to do is calculate your body weight's new maintenance calories and then stick at this number for at least a few weeks. And then it is up to you whether you want to enter your bulk again after this point. This approach is ideal if you're still relatively lean from bulking and just need a break, or you're going away on holiday. This will allow your body to stabilize at its new weight and also give you a physical and mental break from the turmoils that is bulking. And our second option here is the mini cut phase. Now, this is similar to our first phase, where you're going to be finding your body weight's new maintenance calories, but then after that, you're going to be entering in a slight deficit. This approach is super helpful to trim down any excess fat that you have gained during your bulking phase. But for those of you guys who are picking option 2 here and you are interested in getting shredded and staying shredded after your bulking phase, I will pop up a video now on screen that I recently filmed on the topic that fleshes this out in depth. Also, for any of you who are looking for a more in-depth bulking guide that fleshes out this video in its entirety, I will leave my full bulking guide in the first or second link of the description of this video. But that is all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Please let me know down below if you did. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're down there and join the family, and hopefully I will catch you guys in my next one.